Before I begin, I would like to tell a little bit of a story that, just in case anybody who's been following me on Steam and who has seen my display name come up and has been very confused about it, because right now, as of when I'm recording this, obviously, it says something like Gravestone ad for Shadow Man 2. So this, I think, is like a bit of lost, weird gaming history lore. And this story, I freely admit that this one might be a little bit spurious or unconfirmed, that the company Acclaim, and apparently just the UK branch of Acclaim, which is really weird because this sounds so American as an advertising scheme, they were going to pay people to put ads for the game Shadow Man Second Coming on gravestones, like in cemeteries, which is just the buck wildest shit anybody's ever heard of, quite frankly, and I genuinely hope somebody did it. So that's why I did it. Also because my friend is using a display name that is something like a baby named Turok, which is another reference to some very weird thing that Acclaim wanted to do back in ye olden days of advertising their games, that they were going to be like, hey, we'll give money to you if you name your baby Turok. I don't think anybody took the bait on that one. And if they did, they didn't get paid. But I digress. So, yeah, let's get. Yeah, I did just dox you, Tav. I apologize. Well, you know what? In order to make up for it, let's watch Zardoz on Sunday. All right. I mean, we were already going to watch Zardoz on Sunday, so you might be saying, well, you're not doing anything to make up with me. And you're correct. I'm not saying anything to help you make it up. So anyway, okay, let me read this. Real answer, it was a British campaign. Yes, I do recall that. The government was told about it, so no one actually changed their name to Turok. They got 5 paid actors to pretend like they were... Okay. All right, I got you now. Because I could not remember the conclusion to that because I am a fool. But it's good that they got paid because, well, first of all, it's good that they got paid. And second of all, quite frankly, this being Acclaim, and now Acclaim is not like the pinnacle of sleaze in the game industry or anything. I mean, Acclaim was not founded by Jeff Spangenberg, so... Unlike Retro Studios, who made this fine game that we're looking at right now. So, we don't have any, like... You know, and they weren't actually Midway. Or... Oh, God. Midway isn't the one that I'm thinking of in this case exactly. I'm thinking of the guys who done... Bloodstorm. Bloodstorm being a really bad fighting game that nobody remembers from the arcade era of that time, where they were... So, the story actually ends up that the guy in question was already on the outs with Midway, but... So, the guy who played Johnny Cage in Mortal Kombat was seen in one of these ads... And there was something with that, and it was kind of a controversy because obviously nobody actually gives a shit about Bloodstorm, but it's definitely, yeah, they were mid all right. Absolutely, man. Midway is one of the video game companies of all time. They definitely made some video games... some of them actually, like, worthy of being remembered once they got ported to consoles and were dialed back from being arcade quarter guzzlers. But I digress. Like, I like the SNES version of Smash TV. That's pretty fun. I'm no fucking good at it, but, I mean, I'd be 10 times worse at the arcade version, so... that kind of, by default, it's like there is a certain point where difficulty does kind of hinder the quality of a game. So no, I'm not a fan of Dark Souls and games like it. For anybody who's like, oh, well. And it's not just because I'm bad at them, although I was not good at that crab game. On the other hand, it was a video game where you got to play as a crab, so I kind of respect it just for that. Oh, shit. Wow, good job, me. I didn't realize I was that close to the edge of the invisible platform. Truth be told, it's probably not worth going for this because I believe this is still considered to be out of logic, and I could just come back later when I have the plasma beam to be able to get the item up there, and it will probably not affect the way the progress goes. Now, where the hell am I supposed to... That's right, it's right here. Okay. I was going to be very mad at myself if I overshot that, because it has happened before. I was going to say, where is it? There we go. Okay. You go on the wall, and it's nothing. You know what? I think that's actually really funny, though, in this case, because I got exactly what I deserved for wasting, like, 5 minutes going for that. I am not good at that. It's okay. It's me streaming a video game, period. I think that part is kind of taken as accepted. Oh. Oops. I stubbed my toe on this weird thing. Oops. I took 10 damage for stubbing my toe. Don't you hate it when that happens? Fuck. My toe, my one weakness. Anyway, yeah, I just wanted to tell that story before I forget to ever tell that, because honestly, what opportunity am I going to have to tell people about the Shadow Man 2 gravestone advertising that may or may not have ever been an actual scheme that a company was trying to pull? But is also so completely bizarre that it sounds like the sort of thing that Acclaim would do. Again, shocked it wasn't an American branch of a company, but also Acclaim UK, I guess that kind of works. You know, the Brits were innovative in the field of occasionally being a little bit tasteless at the turn of the century, and like really the back half of the 20th century. Not necessarily always. For anybody who thinks I'm casting aspersions on all of British comedy, no, not yet. Wait. Dead by 1d4 toe stubbing damage. That is exactly how I will go in real life, though. But wait. Which also kind of reminds me of NetHack, because due to upcoming project reasons, I have also been thinking about NetHack a shocking amount, which is one of the older of the roguelikes that are A, proper roguelikes, you know, they resemble the game Rogue, and B, that are still played widely. that in that game, you can die by failing to kick a door open enough times because you will take damage from it if you hurt your foot. And you can die that way. Just like in real life. I think. I'm pretty sure that can happen to you in real life. There are a lot of very entertaining ways to die in NetHack, though. And just really funny shit you can do all around. One thing that is very popular in NetHack is that you can wield the corpse of a cockatrice as a weapon. And which you can use to petrify enemies on contact. Which is a very powerful strategy. Obviously, you've got to wear gloves, otherwise it will happen to you. So be smart, friends. Wrap that cock in a... Oh. Sorry. However, if you fall down the stairs while you're carrying a cockatrice corpse, which... Here's a part that I love about it even more. The community calls it a rubber chicken. Which is very funny in of itself. Tab, that reminded me of something from Legend of Mana. I'm sorry. Yeah, so if you're wielding a rubber chicken and you fall down the stairs, you'll die. Don't do that. Basically, what I'm kind of saying is that as much as I love a lot of modern roguelikes, I look over at some of the goofball shit that you can do in the older ones, and I'm just like, man, new style roguelikes could never. Granted, also, neither could the source material, because NetHack, no surprises to anyone, is very much based on D&D and its relatives. So, you know, I have a feeling that, like, if I tried to do that, if I tried to go for, like, rubber chicken shenanigans in a D&D group, I guess it would depend very heavily on the DM, but somehow I get the feeling that that would be, like, that's how you get chastised by the rest of the group. Measles and super measles. Yep. It's a big yikes because I am going to have to do a jump that I suck at. Granted, it's also technically, like, not that hard, but I just fail at it constantly because I basically don't know how to hold the controller. Honestly, the fact that I've had enough success at getting, like, sub 3-hour runs in this as it is, it should kind of be considered an achievement. It's like, what if that kid you know that flunked every math test when you were in grade school suddenly accidentally his way into calculus? Oh, that's quite understandable. It can be very hard to be like, oh, I'm not going for everything. Especially in games like this, I do love doing my completionist percentages for Metroid games. And it does kind of hurt me a little bit inside that the last time I played Prime, I did not get 100% on it. I also didn't get 100% on Prime 2 when I played that at the end of last year. But to be fair, that was my actual first time playing through the game. I had never beaten it before, like, what was it? The 26th or something, I think. It was pretty late in the month. And yeah, you can see I am not doing this jump real good, but Because, yeah, the first time that I played Metroid Prime 2, it will not surprise any of you to hear that I gave up at the Boost Guardian. Anybody who's ever played Prime 2 will probably be like, yeah, I think that might be fair. Because that guy is a real monster, you know? He's a real Peter Thiel, he is. Anyway, enough of that. Let's try to stop failing at this. So, to make clear, by the way, you can't just jump up to that from the ground. That's why I'm doing this stupid route. There's very possibly a different way that I just do not remember, but I think you literally have to jump off of this little broken chunk here, and as you can see, the angle on this is quite awkward. Because your midair momentum is, well, it is what it is. It is the exact sort of thing that it appears to be. I'm going to try doing something that's a bit more of like a straight shot here. Me doing anything straight. Yeah, okay. Sure, whatever. That's why I can't pull that off. This is usually something that I prefer to do when I have the ball, so that way I can morph in midair, and that will influence my momentum, and I will not walk backwards off of that. That would be a good idea to not do that. Go from the... That's probably a better idea, because that'll give me a little bit more height. Assuming that I can stand on this, right? It's not flat enough. And that's what I was afraid of the first time, actually. But yes, the platforms on this are a little bit higher, so we get a better height advantage, and more importantly, we can angle ourselves towards it a little better. Like this, and we got on the rim there. That was played really badly, but we did eventually get there, so I mean, what can you say about that? What you can say about that is I can't actually get the item I was thinking about over there for now. So we're going back because I know where there's an item we can get with the ball. And also, I should go open the artifact temple because we have access to that right now. And I forgot about that. Oops. So, starter folks, how's everyone feeling about the new announcement today? Nobody likes it. That's what I've been able to glean from things. And somebody pulled out a poll that was done for a couple of the male characters as like other options instead of Clint. And Clint got the least votes on that poll. So, yeah, I think literally nobody is happy with this. Except maybe for Concerned Ape. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't think that counts. Because how many devs are actually out there putting in a feature into a game, especially this type of feature, and going, I hate this. You know, imagine if Valve put Ringmaster into Dota, right? And they just immediately were like, this guy sucks shit. Why did we do this? Which actually I think might be the correct response, because he is basically an evil clown, but I actually like playing Ringmaster, so I'm not good at Ringmaster at all. Don't get it twisted. I'm pretty sure my average deaths as Ringmaster against bots, not even against human beings, against the fucking machines that know how to play like half the game, I die like 10 times every game as him because I'm bad. But I like him anyway. Let's get our artifact hints. But yeah, Tav, since I know that you also said this too, that I think it will please you to hear that literally everybody I've heard say anything about this said the wizard was right there, basically. That all of them were like, the wizard would have been a better choice than Clint. And they are correct to say that. Parentheses, this is about all I know about Stardew. So, yeah. Ruined Shrine is a place that I think we have access to. Dynamo is not Furnace. Apologies. That is... Crap, I forget where that is, actually. Arbor Chamber. Okay, so we need Plasma Beam. Well, we wanted it anyway. Security Cave. Security Cave is the thing off of where Thardus is, I think. Ruined Courtyard is very early on. That's in the lead up to Sheegoth, I think. Hydro Access Tunnel is the underwater bomb jumping place. Watery Hall is... that... No, the one with the spider track is Ruined Fountain, I think, so I'm dumb. Life Grove Tunnel... I know where that one is. That is before the X-ray visor room. Tower of Light. So that means we're going to have to dump a lot of missiles into that. Phazon Mining Tunnel is... I think that's where Artifact of Newborn is in vanilla, right? Ice Ruins East, so that's basically just get Plasma Beam. Great Tree Chamber. That is another... That's behind more invisible platforms, so they definitely want me to get X-Ray Visor. Well, that's fine. At least they're not making me fight Boss Baby again. With all this, hey, get X-Ray Visor. Okay. Cool. As long as I don't have to fight the boss where I have to waste like 10 minutes. That's good. For those not in the know, Boss Baby is what I'm now going to be calling Omega Pirate instead of King Baby, which is what I was calling him before. Because honestly, my friend was right. My friend being Tav. I don't know why I'm acting like someone would not know. They can rewatch the VOD. But he's right. Boss Baby is definitely a funnier name for it. Friend being a baby named Turok, yes. Yes, there it is. Turok, your last name here. Just like I do, just like I do for myself, I'm going to pretend that your last name is Blofeld for the purposes of this stream and for making funny. Turok Blofeld, you know. My friend Turok Blofeld. Everybody has a friend whose last name is Blofeld, right? That's normal. There are definitely people whose last name is Blofeld in real life, right? Actually, there might be. I don't know. Or maybe I should just start choosing a different James Bond villain. What about Zorin? Wait, no, there's a Linux distro named Zorin, which is... First of all, it's very funny because I've been watching James Bond films with my friend Turok, as I mentioned, for a couple of weeks now, and by a couple of weeks, I mean a couple of months now, actually. We watch one every Sunday, and right around the time when one of my friends was testing out Zorin because she wanted to move off of Windows, because, I mean, why wouldn't you want to move off of Windows? The very next James Bond movie we watched was the one that had Zorin as the villain. I think that was View to a Kill. It wasn't Living Daylights, right? No. Unfortunately, I've now kind of got most of them like a little bit mixed up in my brain because, well, let's be honest here. Why wouldn't you get James Bond films a little bit mixed up in your brain? Especially if you're like me and you only have like 5 brain cells. Okay, good. I was just making sure that I'm not a complete idiot here. Just most of 1. Living Daylights had some other villain. I just remember that I actually really liked Living Daylights, which is quite funny because I remember very early on talking to you, like in the early 2010s, I said something about defending that movie because nobody else liked it. And it turns out that, well, first of all, I think since then people actually are like, oh yeah, Living Daylights is kind of good. And like a lot of the Timothy Dalton movies have gotten a little bit of a retroactive reappraisal. But at the time, Living Daylights was kind of... Well, Living Daylights was to the James Bond franchise what Animals was to Pink Floyd. Which is very funny to say nowadays because Animals is very much the album that's like a meme for people saying that it's underrated, because it very definitely is not. People love that album. And there are still so many of them who are like, oh, this album's really underrated. What, because it didn't sell literally 20 plus million copies? I mean, big whoop. We all know that sales numbers don't mean very much. It's just more a matter of what's available on some level, or what people have been directly exposed to. I mean, some people will just buy things because they exist in front of them. And that's why they keep cranking out fucking gacha games every week, because that works on people. Wait, no, it's for other reasons. Other reasons also, I suppose. The reason why many of those are basically turn-based RPGs in a lot of ways is because it's very easy to create a turn-based RPG. And then you create a super boss that nobody can beat, and then you just start selling characters that hard counter that super boss. This is what Grand Blue Fantasy does, basically. And I'm sure it's what any of the others do in various fits and starts. But I don't pay that much attention to most of them. I still play that one because haha gambling addict, but you know. Okay, it's not literally because of that. Something I'm technically not. I don't give them money. Certainly not to buy draws. That would be like extra stupid. At least if you're gonna spend money on something, make sure that you get a guarantee out of it. Anyway. Setting all that horse shit aside, we've got whatever is in here. It's probably a missile pack because that's half of the major item drops in the entire game. There's 50 missiles and then there's 50 other things. 12 of which are artifacts and 38 of them are actually useful for reasons other than letting you fight a big stupid tin dragon. Ridley knows what he did to earn that sort of contempt. And if you don't know, well, that's okay. Probably. Oh, right. The other dot is the boost ball requiring item. Yeah, this is Ruined Fountain. Not whatever the other one I was thinking of, which I think was... Oh, no, it was Watery Hall was the other one I was thinking of. That might be the place where you usually get Charge Beam. Oh, yeah, by the way, has anyone ever seen this before? Fuck. Well... Okay, so... that's weird. Is it only in circumstances where I'm allowed to target the door? Because I've had that reflect off and do damage to me. So maybe it is that. But I turned that part of the randomizer off. Yeah, okay, Watery Hall is definitely that way. Hey, Spider Ball. Nice. We now have all the stuff we need to do a couple of things. Right, Dynamo is the room in the back there, right? My brain kept going, that's Furnace. No, no, Furnace is a furnace. It's also not the big room before it, which is probably like Energy Core or something goofy like that. I've actually forgotten the names of like 90% of the rooms in this game. As far as I'm concerned, it's Burn Dome access. You might be saying that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and you're correct. But maybe not necessarily for that reason. Missile pack. Those are good. Remember, we want 200 missiles to be able to fight Meta Ridley without having to actually do work. Which does also kind of require us to get Wave Buster, but... I mean, there's plenty of chances for that to happen elsewhere. Oops. Well, we need Gravity Suit to get the artifact in this room, so... yeah. This does also mean that we can get the item in the back of Furnace, I think. We should be able to get there without Boost Ball. I'm pretty sure I've done that many times before. Especially because I do have a Spring Ball effect with the randomizer. Just to make play a little bit smoother. Nice. Got our main power bomb. That'll give us, well, more of those than we need for a while, that's for sure. By the way, thinking about the Turok story again, I think it's very funny in particular as well because this was happening in the UK because it was UK acclaim, not US acclaim. Turok is a Native American character, at least in the original comics. I don't know about the games because I have never played a Turok video game in my entire life. I don't know if they're any good, to be honest with you. I do remember seeing a lot of, like, advertising and push on more of, like, a paper level, not like, oh, yeah, there were... It's not like, oh, there were TV commercials for Turok 2 Seeds of Evil, but we read a lot of N64 magazines back in the day, and I definitely saw a lot of, like, advertising and, like, pushing for it. And at the time, I really did not know what that was, so couldn't really comment on the quality to you. Especially not back then. But nowadays... I also cannot. A various suit opens up the room that I've now forgotten the name of. The magma pool. There we go. Wow, it was really that easy, huh? Also, genuinely, I feel like we cannot... we don't get to see a lot of various suit Spider Ball in any of these randos, because usually it's like, oh yeah, I got the fucking Phazon suit before I got my first ball upgrades for some reason. The access. Yeah, exactly. See, I think this guy was following along at least a little bit. He has understood exactly one phrase that I've said, and that is better than I do. So I think that kind of makes you top percentage by default, dude. The Joey's Rattata of my viewers. What an accolade. What an accolade. Just like creating Bubsy. Hey, listen, I don't tax anybody for these. Yet. Not until I make the sub-only streams. I'd have to wait until I finish a VTuber to do that, though. Because the only way people are going to sub to me is if they see moth tits, right? Clearly. Anyway, yes, I actually forgot that I needed Boost Ball to do this. So, you know, probably a good place to have Boost Ball be a drop is literally right in front of the place where I need it. I mean, hey, I've been around enough mobile games, etc. As I get into a subject loop here. Now, of course, I'm still friends with a lot of people who play Enfield, so I'm aware of the current character, and I'll say this. I'm kind of embarrassed to say this, maybe, but, like, that is actually a bootleg of an Azure Lane character. Which is deeply funny to me for a variety of reasons, but I digress. Anyway, yeah, no, it's definitely, we exist in an era of that, just in general. Of just like, hey, you know what makes money is a thing that you can find on the internet for free. I'm pretty sure this is actually just the sort of way that streaming services work nowadays. Ooh, maybe I'm not supposed to say that. I'm not supposed to advocate piracy in public. That's considered inappropriate for some reason. It's okay, I'm not advocating, I'm simply saying that it exists. Although, let's be honest here, if it weren't for... You know, my proportion of how advocative my statement is depends entirely on those executives. And holy hell, that is a shortcut that I didn't know I could take. I literally just tried it because I was like, maybe it'll work. And somehow it did. Bizarre. Now, this way. Is there a... I can't see what kind of door that is, because that's a separate room, technically. Ah, it's purple. I can't do anything with that. I don't have the wave beam yet. Dang. Well, good to know. I'm pretty sure we could have done the thing in that room to get the item, though. I just don't want to fight the... I don't want to fight the zombie ghosts anyway. Our friends from Full Life Consequences, the zombie ghosts. Oh, we have got plenty of stuff we can do, at least, instead of go fight Flagra. That's good. I don't like that guy. Takes, like, a year to fight or something. It's not literally that long, but it's not a short fight. Unfortunately, I can't get the item behind the cage over there, because of reasons. They won't let me break through. Aim assist. Oh, I don't know if there's any extra, like, aim assist or anything with this. The only... Well... I guess charged wave beam counts as it homes. But yeah, I'm just doing this raw. There's no extra... I did play this with Prime Hack, which isn't really aim assist on any level because it's just keyboard and mouse, but it did feel like it aimed a little bit more smoothly. But, yeah, I would certainly say that console FPS play is a strange thing. And I would not recommend it under most circumstances. I think that probably this is one of the better ones that I've played, but also, I mean, that's a bit like, okay, how many different, you know, toe stubbings have you endured, and which one was the best and which one was the worst, right? God, back in the day, I played BioShock Infinite on console for the first time, which, you know, if there's anything that can make BioShock Infinite worse, it's trying to aim with an effing controller with that. I see. I wasn't sure if it was like, if there was something that specifically prompted the gag about aim assist. But no, nothing of that kind in here. The only gameplay changes that the Rando is giving me right now is that I can spring ball. And being quite honest with you, that's just because... Oh, right, I can't do that either. That's basically just because I played the Switch version, and I was like, that's really good. That is something I don't know if I'd be able to easily live without under most circumstances. And lo and behold, the Randovania developers put that into this for the Rando. So... good on them. That's a very useful feature. I think just because it has all the other stuff to basically give you all of the Prime 1 features, period. Yeah, it is very strange, though, that I couldn't find that as just, like, a separate mod. And I don't want to try to F with a randomizer and be like, hey, don't roll anything. I just want the quality of life stuff. I have a feeling that it would be a little bit messy. Also, I forgot to get the item here. Whoops. Right? Yeah, there's still a second item here. So that is this one. It is just a missile expansion, but, you know, we're going to need those eventually, so that's fine. Because, yes, I think 200, based on all of my testing, is the amount that you need in order to secure a kill using Wavebuster on Meta Ridley Phase 2. It is very variable, but 200 seems to be absolutely safe. Seems to be the absolutely safe capsule, you know. I still have never played Mother 3. I wonder if that's like heresy or something in some gamer circles that like... This part will be heretical, I think, that every time I've seen anything that like describes Mother 3, it never sounds like it comes off well in terms of any of the writing. Like, it always sounds a little bit too, like, too, you know, trying a little bit too hard kind of thing. I mean, I am up with the anti-capitalist message of it. Obviously, that is good, but a lot of the writing is like, wow, you're trying this a little bit too hard. But I think it's just the type of game that ends up like that anyway, unless you play it in context. Like, I absolutely loved Off when I played it, but I have a feeling that if I was reading about half of that stuff out of context, I'd probably be like, man, this guy. But also, that's the thing, isn't it? Is that games are a very experiential kind of thing, as opposed to just... You can't really just read about them, and this is true of basically almost any piece of art, but in particular, with games, because I still think about what I'm pretty sure is over a decade later, when Persona 5 came out, and Atlas was very, very, very stiff about, like, oh, well, you can't stream past a certain amount of, or we'll kick your ass for it. And it's like, I don't know. I think that you're almost kind of saying that there's nothing to your game that you can't earn just by staring at somebody else on twitch.gov or something. And great idea. Anyway, we're going to fight the big stupid plant bug here. This is like Mega Parasect, except kind of backwards. It's got more like Scyther arms, though. But, hey, who's keeping track of that? Anyway. clear this thing out as fast as we can, because Flagra takes a very long time. Who likes doing this? And admittedly, this is part of why, even though I do enjoy playing Rando Metroid Prime, I am kind of excited to go into a different Rando next month. Because, yeah, there's really only so much variance that you get here. A lot of the time, it's just like, oh, well, the game is already designed such that often you're just going to flow into the same bosses anyway. Ultimately, I think most of my enjoyment of this Rando comes from enjoying the base game in the first place, which, you know, I cannot imagine getting into a Rando for a game that you don't like. That seems like really strange, but also, I say this like every time I see people do it, that I think it is very odd to see folks who first play a game by speedrunning it. That they like they speedrun a game blind. But I mean, parentheses, obviously they know what they learned from speedrun tactic stuff, but it's just very unusual. Also, I screwed up on ending the cutscene early there. I pressed the start button too early, and now I've lost time. Ugh. Oh well. Doesn't count because we're not speedrunning. Right, get familiar with the garbage in a case like that, especially, right? Speedruns are a little bit of a weird other category on some level, but that is kind of just like, with a Bethesda game, you should probably familiarize yourself with this and go like, Todd Howard's been trying to sell people to buy multiple copies of this game for how long? And then you skin over it with like an anime girl or something. I don't know. I don't know what people do with like modding in Bethesda games anymore, or games period, basically. So basically what you're saying is that you should first experience it to go like, Todd Howard's been trying to sell people on multiple copies of this for how long? Okay, fine. I'm sorry, I'm being rude, but also it's Todd Howard, so, you know. Continues to be rude to Todd Howard. I mean, yeah, that's pretty much fair. That is the most important part of the game. So that and picking a lizard. Start game, select lizard, and ride cart. Well, okay, no, you ride the cart before you're allowed to make your character a lizard. So what I just said is not actually possible. I'm a fraud. But also, I guess now that you say that, there's this part in the back of my head that's like, people do things with that. That's... What an incredibly... what a waste. What a waste of effort and probably various other things. Anyway, that time the weird ghosts weren't, the zombie ghosts were not that hard, so they left this place without too much trouble. And of course, they gave us a missile pack in exchange, because that's what you expect, really. If I could actually properly get in the hole, that might help. But... Oh, fuck. I can't go this way. There's an untextured door blocking my path. Because you're not supposed to ever see behind that object. Yes! I've never actually done this before, by the way, so that's why I'm surprised. Because usually I enter Flogger through the front door, so now we're going to just go back to the elevator to Magmore Caverns and do things the normal way, I guess. Yeah. My usual gameplay with Skyrim starts off as like, okay, start game, ride cart, enter character creation, generate Argonian, which is the lizard folks for anyone who's not very familiar with Elder Scrolls. I don't blame you if you're not. Get sidetracked by a million like other things other than the main quest. Set game down after a while. Forget to come back and go play something else because I forgot. Unfortunately, I did also make the mistake of buying the DLC, which doesn't sound that bad, but it's one of those games where you have DLC content that like affects the entire game, and it is always on when you download, once you purchase the DLC. Which sounds fine, but there are vampires in one of the DLC. And they will just go around and they will kill townspeople. I think sometimes even before you get there, too. So that's really fun if so, but don't take my word on that part of it. But it is also like, well, you know, yeah, that's a whole other ball of wax that I'll get into in a second after I'm done ranting about this DLC thing. Probably should have a place where it waits to start up. So it does remind me of another game, and not really a good one. You know, at least Skyrim is pretty decent in its way. It's got problems, but so do we all. So back in the day, I bought the DLC for the original version of Binding of Isaac, and yeah, I know, for anybody who wants to say anything about that, listen, I don't like the game very much. I have opinions about it, and I only ever really bothered completing Isaac Rebirth because I was really kind of pissed off at Edmund McMillan because he said something that was kind of like really assy, and I was just, it had to do with people data mining the existence of the Lost. And I was just kind of like, well, you know what? Fuck you. I'm going to actually burn through your entire garbage-ass game. Especially because I think at the time... Hey, Phazon suit. Nice and early. I think at the time, there was a statement that was made that that character was going to get buffed. Because originally, the Lost had, like, nothing. And I mean nothing. Like, the Lost had the ability to die as soon as you took any damage. But also, it could fly and shoot through walls. Big whoop. Anyway, so Edmund McMillan got very mad about how people discovered the Lost because it was meant to be sort of like a pseudo, not really an ARG, but definitely sort of a community project. And the community done projected, that's for sure. They found the existence of this character and solved the whole internal, like, mystery surrounding these photograph pieces by data mining it. And he was very mad about that. And personally, I don't care. And I think maybe my opinions on that are a little bit more negative because look who we're talking about here. But anyway, back in the day, I bought the DLC for the original Isaac because I'm a fucking moron. Or maybe I got it in a bundle or something. I actually do not recall. But that adds a lot of content to the game that is significantly harder than the original. And more importantly, it gives you the increased difficulty effect that occurs from beating the game 6 times, whether you've beaten it at all. And I, at the time, had not. So, yeah, that's bad. And I don't think the Dawn Guard stuff is necessarily on the same level of that. By the way, Dawn Guard is another one of those names that... There's been some discussion on various platforms about names of the style, kind of like the game High Guard, the recent absolute mess that was High Guard. And people just kind of commenting on, you know, Western game names being often just like the High Guard, the Veil Guard, Valor, something or other was in there. Not Valorant, but some other game called Valor that had a compound word. Dawn Guard is... It sounds even stupider because it literally also uses the word guard, but... Dawn Guard definitely is kind of like a High Guard, but it does have a... It makes sense on some level, but it is also kind of like... Insofar as you can say that Western game devs are not good at names, Dawn Guard is kind of in that same category of being like not exactly a name with a lot of sauce, you know? But yes, it's definitely it because there's a context to it. It is better than like High Guard, which is, you know, you chose two cool sounding fantasy two words and you compounded them together to make like a cool D&D faction sounding kind of name or something. And big loud PU to that. And a lot of people have said that the 14 expansion names kind of fit in there. And then there's other people who are like, well, they have thematic significance. And it's like, yes, but they do also kind of sound the same. It is just like, well, it does kind of sound like this. And I suppose they could be a little bit more interesting or more to the point. We exist in a world where we get so many of these just like this type of compound names overall that like there's gotta be somewhere in the like deep files of the early cut cards for an early aughts Magic set. There's got to be like an Endwalker in there somewhere, right? In fact, I think there is a Shadowbringer in that somewhere, but yeah. Yes, it's just getting kind of tedious, and I have to say that in an era where we are dealing with game devs actually turning to the slot machines. That's slot machines, not slot machines, everybody. This isn't about Clover Pit. Which, actually, I guess if you're opposed enough to... Hold up a second, I'm going to clip a nail here because it's quite long and I just split. If you're opposed enough to compound words, I guess Clover Pit is a high guard, isn't it? Sentences you will never hear ever again, and you absolutely never should. So, anyway, this whole bit aside... yeah, in an era where we have game devs who are actually using the AI machine to do game development, I think novelty and just breaking established patterns and doing something slightly more offbeat is going to be valuable. In various places. And it's like, okay, you know, I think I actually kind of respect Ball Pit on a certain level for the name there, because, like, the silent X in the middle of it, like, how many other, probably a couple other game devs, but not necessarily a huge proportion of them are doing that, unless it's, like, Japanese game devs who are doing some sort of weird crossover for Ball Guard. Isn't that just another name for a COD piece, though? Hey, I said Japanese devs. And yeah, that is actually... Literally, somebody brought that up a couple of days ago, but I had forgotten that I had seen that somewhere else. So, thank you for pointing out that, yeah, literally Hunter x Hunter. Hunter x Hunter has a clown in it. And he's a horrible guy from what little I know about that franchise. Which is to say that when the Grand Blue crossover with Hunter x Hunter happened, I was not paying attention. So I apologize to anybody who has opinions on it, but, like, I don't know very much about it. And you might be asking me if there's some reason why I never watched it or anything, or read it. Clearly it's a manga first, right? And the reason is that I just don't interact with a lot of anime and or manga. Like, I know what JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is, basically, and I reference it very frequently, but I also still didn't finish watching part 4, and I didn't read a ton past that point either, which I need to do at some point. In fact, I know that, like, the art quality of the manga is probably a little bit better than the anime. Certainly, a thing that I can say with confidence about the quality of the visuals of the anime versus the manga is that the parts of the anime I remember decently what they looked like of JoJo. Parentheses, this is i.e. the more recent David production anime, is that they definitely looked a little bit, like, less shaded than any of the stuff in some of the earlier JoJo chapters, which featured quite a lot and quite good shading. And also just like some pieces of like some notable poses that they looked a little bit like they had been stretched horizontally. Like I think about one in particular with Jonathan that's just like, okay, it's taking up the entire screen, but the manga panel is much thinner than that. So he looks even more awkwardly huge than he should. Which, okay, yeah, it's Jonathan Joestar. He should look absolutely massive, but there's kind of a specific way in which that is supposed to be a thing. Anyway, off that topic, because I haven't finished watching that, I at some point need to experience the rest of JoJo. The Part 9 manga is actually started within the last, like, year or two. I think less than a year, actually. But yeah, JoJo Part 9 does actually exist, which is a surprise because I didn't know when or if that would happen. Anyway, we got our Plasma Beam. We got our Artifact of Spirit. We can go and continue to not be able to finish this area because we don't have Wave Beam. Quite frankly, there is not a lot we can actually do here due to a lack of Wave Beam. We can go fight the funny rock, I think. Actually, we can't even do that. We can't go fight the funny rock. What's even the point? What's the point of living? Anyway, I completely forgot what we were talking about in the first place here, so, yeah. Yeah, it probably wasn't, to be honest with you. Although there is also the part where I just kind of forget things all the time anyway, so if I get sidetracked badly enough, I don't know. Wait, was there a... I had this sudden, like, weird... It's not entirely what we were talking about, but it's arguably related in a sideways manner. Was there a bundle with Clover Pit and Ball Pit, or did I just hallucinate that and just assume that it would be, like, really funny? Because I know if there was one, I did not purchase it because at the time, I don't think Clover Pit really seemed like it appealed to me when I bought Ball Pit. And then I kind of gave it a little bit more thought and was like, actually, I see the advertising, I see the vision, I see the bit that you're going with here, in addition to the actual messaging. Never mind. I'll throw $8 at you guys. Because I had a bunch of money sitting in my Steam wallet from... Probably from selling stuff that I don't use in Dota anymore, because... Actually, some of those hats are kind of terrible. Valve, what exactly is your approval process? Other than, like... Not good. I don't know. Actually, I guess that kind of applies to some parts of the Steam store too. But I digress. Get in there. Oh, all these energy tanks are in a nice clump for us too. This is... Oh yeah, don't forget about the item on the ground floor. We might actually need it. For all we know, it could be Wave Beam, which would actually let me finish exploring the Ice Temple, but... Well, I called that one. Incredible. Thank you, game. Good. Now I can go fight a boss that I just shit a power bomb on and then watch it die. Yeah, we are quite durable, so that's very good. I don't want to say that I could fight Meta Ridley right now, but if I had to fight Boss Baby, I could go do that. On the other hand, thank goodness I don't, because, oh boy, we've been over that part before, though. I mean, again, fighting Meta Ridley right now would be really bad because I don't have Wave Buster. And if we're being perfectly honest, I don't know how to actually, like, fight Meta Ridley properly, as it were. I don't know how to, like, control the fight any. Unless you use Wave Buster on him. This is for second form, by the way. First form of Meta Ridley is very easy. It's basically just shoot him, Fox. And then, when he lands, you boost ball into his legs. And he has a very bad time. I think these things are more of a problem than what we're going to fight afterwards, honestly. Granted, that's also very specifically because we have power bombs, so... yeah. Oh, there's our Wave Buster. Well... granted, I still need a good chunk of missiles to even have a chance of being able to kill Meta Ridley with it. Unless I get a mid-fight refill, which should not be a good thing to rely on, but... look. Only thing we got over there is a save point. This way? Yeah, just time to go and deal with Pirate Base. Yeah, 19 more, which those will show up for sure. I mean, we're missing enough stuff to actually go finish the game that we'll find those probably. Just from playing normally. And there's our missable scan enemy there. Now, I no longer trust myself to be able to actually pull this off, so I'm going to do the full puzzle instead of just scaling the spider ball rail and doing it that way to drop to the item. Because that apparently is actually a bit of a challenge. And I absolutely knew that. I forgot quite frequently. Wow, good job, me. Yeah, it's a bit of a problem if I do stuff like that, too, because that was really embarrassing. Yeah, I kind of wonder if we can get knocked through the floor if we stand under one of the platforms, but I'm not going to try it. Speaking of getting knocked through the floor by platforms like that, or not even platforms in this case. Well, it's a good thing we got that, because we actually require that to beat the game. So, this is potentially possible in Vanilla Oot, but in Ocarina of Time Randomizer, if a large chest drops from the ceiling and it lands on you, it can knock you out of the world. Which is, yeah, kind of incredible, actually. No, I'll approach that one from behind, because I can show that off. Because we can go through this place entirely forward and leave through the back door, because we have Ice Beam. The fact that we have Plasma Beam just means that we can basically annihilate literally everything in here with a single charge shot, I think. Which is great. I love not thinking. Oh, I'm sure that there's a lot of, like, completely ridiculous shit that's involved there. I just don't actually know how to do any, like, real speedrun tech in that game, so I just do Triforce Hunt randos when I do that. And last month, because I'm shuffling up the randomizer that I do on a monthly basis now, folks, for in case it was not made clear at a previous point. Because I may very well have not communicated that in all places, but last month I was having at least enough consistency to beat those in 4 hours. However, I think at least part of that was just pure luck. I can hardly imagine that I've gotten good. Yeah, the only item in Research Lab Hydra is up high. I'm thinking of Research Lab Ether, which is an interesting choice of name when the planet was Ether in Prime 2. I don't remember if there's any sort of lore connection involved there, but there might have been one put in at some point. Or it might have just been like, hey, here's a weird coincidence. Oh, I thought for a second that that dude just tanked the shot almost, because my brain worked backwards on seeing what happened there, I guess. And only saw, oh, that guy didn't die. Let's see, where's the last one? Oh, there's one more of you chuckleheads in here. Alright, and then it's wall sockets. And then spinning devices. An energy tank, that is perfectly fine. I probably don't need that yet, but I will in the future. Probably. Because I'm pretty bad at some of these fights, but for now, I'm not super concerned about most of them. Oh, there's a lot of these dudes out here. I forgot. There's like 5 in this fight. Things this way. And this you do actually still have to scan in order to move things forward. Maybe you can, like, super missile it, but I don't know. But yeah, there's plenty of reasons why I love to come in here with early Ice Beam, and that's just one of them. Yeah, this is still kind of a pain in the butt, this particular thin walkway. I don't think there's any more power-ups for me to suck up here, so... Took so long that they all faded out. Oh, I thought there were security bots in here. I think that's later, actually. Never mind. Oh, not you. And then the power goes out, except for the turrets for some reason, which stay activated even without electricity. Don't know what the deal is there, but okay. We go. Battery I guess so. I mean... would have to be it, huh? Got another power bomb. I probably don't need more than 5, really, but hey. More or less. There aren't a huge amount of uses for them, but also I could get into a situation where I go to wherever there's a big clump of them that you need to use, and the game just kind of goes, well, we're not actually going to give you any more ammunition for those. Also, whoops, I almost rolled right off the edge there. And we almost had to fight the big goofy rock. Everyone's favorite. Although saying that, there's actually a pretty wide area of space that you can just be in and not have to fight the big goofy rock. The game probably wants me to have thermal visor before I fight that thing, so technically it's out of logic right now, I think. But I could. Just don't want to. Because it takes a while. And instead, I could go over this way, where there's some actual stuff that I know where to get. Well, okay. Obviously, I know where to get the item from the big goofy rock. It's just... this doesn't require me fighting a thing basically arguably blindfolded. I mean, I can still see where it is, but I can't see which of the parts of it are the current target, and I do not remember the exact order, so it isn't a truly blindfolded fight or anything on any real level, but it is just kind of like, well, I'm going to be screwing this up a little bit and kind of making myself look like an absolute fool. But yeah, unsurprisingly, Thardus does not require thermal visor. I do not know if Boss Baby requires the X-ray visor, or if it's just very helpful to be able to see where it goes. Either way, let's go to Geothermal Core because it's right over here. And really, why not? There could be something good here. I don't know that there is, but hey. Because the only hints this game gives you are for the artifacts. And Phazon suit if you don't have the impact crater switched off. Which I don't do impact crater because at that point there's no randomization left. Because there's nothing to get in impact crater. Whoa, I almost fell off there. That would have been real embarrassing. Which is exactly why it was almost about to happen. Whew, I think I almost missed that. Although, yeah, when I'm doing the quick relocks there, I do, like, grip the controller really hard. Like, actually kind of painfully hard. That's a bit of a... I probably shouldn't do that. That cannot be healthy. Well, at least I didn't fuck that up in an embarrassing way like when I played through this game in full on Prime Hack. That's pretty bad, but... whatever. Let's not think about that anymore. We got our missile pack from there, and there is, quite frankly, no reason to go back that way. I mean, we could climb to Arbor Chamber without X-ray visor, but... I think there's a place that wants a little bit more X-ray visor for us to actually do that, so... go this way. Crack this thing open. All right, well, you get some rest. Have a good one. Well, I'm feeling pretty confident about this seed, so... now we come this way, to the elevator that is... in such a position that, quite frankly, it may as well be one way. Oh ye gods, there are plasma troopers already. Is this because I just have the Phazon suit already? Or does the game go, oh, you've got all beams, we'll set this to encounter level 2, basically? Which, I mean, fair enough, I can fight those, but also... excuse me. There's a wave trooper up there as well. You know, everyone's favorite. Also, this is part of what I was saying before about those energy tanks are real nice, because honestly, having even one of them depleted does kind of always make me nervous. Even when I got all of them. Oh. That's right. Quit hiding behind those crates, you peckerhead. Come on. Someone's up there. I ain't here for that. But I'll take the missile pack as consolation. As constellation or something. Only need about 11 more of those in order to secure Meta Ridley. Ah, here comes the big boy. At 3 plasma charges, and he is down. And we can just keep going backwards. I think eventually we're going to come to a place where we... Oh, right, we have to go through ore processing and go out the weird aquarium thing. There's our thermal visor. Well, that puts that guy back into logic, Thardus. If we wish, and to be perfectly honest with you, I don't know anyone who does, but hey. Maybe there's someone here who's like, oh yeah, that's the best fight in the game. I don't think I believe you. For some reason. That sound you might have heard was a Metal Gear Solid alert sound, basically. Or it should have been, anyway. Time to learn how to modify this game in order to change sound files. That's fine. We still need like 10 of the... Oh. You know what? I can literally just walk past this dude. Sometimes. Yeah, like that. Oh, they are on me from downtown. Ooh, boy. I'm hitting the save station so I can save and heal, more importantly. Yes, you go to a save station typically so you can save. Yes, that does tend to be the case. Anyway, saying that, I'll be right back, everybody. Just imagine it in your head. I'm actually tempted now to put that as a separate overlay that I can put over one of these, so that way I get up, I switch it on top of the gameplay. I don't know, this seems funnier to me for some reason, but I don't know, whatever. Realistically, you should just imagine it over in place of my speaking voice. There we go. Oh, we're back to this though. Our eerie mine atmosphere here. There's X-ray. That's pretty good. That puts the rest of the artifacts in logic now. I think basically all of them. Missile pack. Actually, alternately, I am tempted because I think I'm going to redo all of my graphical and stuff. I'm kind of tempted to change the pause music over to the one from Wario World. For those of you who know that, where it's just this annoying track with like goofy ass instrumentation and Wario going nah 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 nah. We played that game on this channel, so maybe folks know that one, but you don't necessarily have to have seen it anyway. But that's how it goes. Hi, Irene. We are probably significantly more done with the seed than it looks like, actually. That's what I can say. Oh, wow, the doors have been unlocked. That's helpful. So, unfortunately, for some reason, Samus can't just, like, break the doors down. It's like that one sequence of... in the Pokemon anime where it was Kingler and a Cloyster, and Kingler is just smacking it back and forth with his claw. And of course the Cloyster is in, you know, shell form, so nothing is getting through. That's Vanilla Flamethrower location. That is exactly as useless as I was expecting, really. Okay, I was gonna be really upset if there was another ninja waiting there, because, like, there's not space to fit a ninja in the ceiling there. Come on. Or, sorry, shadow pirates. Listen, they're clearly designed to be ninjas, basically. Technically, streamer, the plural of ninja is ninja. Yeah, but these folks probably only kind of knew that, if they did at all. It might have been vaguely in the back of their one brain cell or something. Collective one brain cell. Wow, how am I so bad at finding this thing? Sheesh. Turn on the death ray and get this thing. So we still need gravity suit, unfortunately. We still need our Zora tunic. Otherwise, we are not going to be able to do the stuff in the ship. Ah, you see, in this game, we're the ones who get stuck by big boats. Oh, hey boys. You know, just zip past these guys. I don't care about them anymore. There's still an angry turret for some reason, too. Of course there is. Wow, that guy landed right in my path to block me there. Good work, asshole. Go this way because this should be where one of the artifacts is hidden. Yep. Artifact of nature and missile pack. Break through this wall. And this. Crack that open and Now we have to go around to this location, I think, to do the jump. There's actually not nearly as many places that you can jump from to do that than it looks like there are. It's a much farther jump than you'd think. Anyway, we get a power bomb expansion, which I don't really think I need, but okay. Why not? Through, and back we go. Now, of course, we cannot go and deal with the wrecked ship, which is fine, because we still have some unfinished business in Chozo Ruins to go take care of, and we're right by there, so that's great. Now, we go get the item overlooking the ship. And then we go back to going backwards through the ruins. Because there is a bunch of stuff that we haven't gotten here because we couldn't before. Mostly due to the lack of wave beam. Oh, well, there's our gravity suit. That's funny. On the other hand, we do still have a bunch of shit to get in Chozo Ruins, so, like, we're not done there yet. However, I think I am going to go back and grab the artifact out of the back of the wrecked ship, because that's just right over there. It's an incredible bit of back and forth going on here. I think this is all we need from the wrecked ship. Harbor chamber, we'll get that soon. Security cave. I forget where security cave is. I think that's the top of Fendrana's Edge, though. Hydro access tunnel. Watery Hall. Tower of Light. Phazon mining tunnel, which... yeah, so we got that. Now we do all this stuff, because there's a lot of it in this room. I don't think I have to go this way. I think this one is already dealt with for us, because this is just the way the exit here. Yeah, that was a waste of my time. Sorry. I wasn't thinking this through. Only 5 more to get until we can be sure that we will have a pretty good time against the boss here. But we will get there sooner rather than later. Actually, I think going this way is fine, isn't it? Yeah. Should be anyway. Oh, could I have gone that way before and I didn't actually need the wave beam? That's fine. I couldn't have finished the area anyway. Basically, you can almost ignore that damage at this point. Eesh. Excuse me. I forget if we have to go this way to actually get anything, but I mean, this is just a way to get more missiles anyway, so... Again, in order to secure things for us... Because, I mean, I'm fairly certain that we can get to 200, but still... Just to be absolutely sure about this... energy tank. We're almost full up on those. All right, 190. Now this side of things is complete. We go back into the back entrances of the place. Oh yeah, there's an item there, so that's probably another couple of missiles. Oh shit, I forgot to do Tower of Light. I'll go do that in a second. First. I was almost a little bit annoyed about that, but I think it's very funny that I ended up in a place where I was completely safe after that. Oh, for a second I thought this was the same room, but it's not. Oh well. That's enough missiles, so now we can basically just skip over literally everything as we get to the end of the area, except for a couple of things that we're not going to be allowed to skip over for obvious reasons, but... well, for obvious reasons, we're not going to skip the things that we can't skip over, I guess. What I mean to say. Oh. I think that's actually the artifact that's usually in that little room over there. Because I'm pretty sure that's usually an artifact. If I recall correctly. The item at the top of the tower is Wave Buster. So, yeah, not that, but the other thing. Okay, now we go back to back of the zone. Actually, why am I doing it this way? I'm going to warp back, and then I'm going to go grab Arbor Chamber. And then we go to Magmore. And that will allow us to go to get the thing in Phendrana, and then the thing in Phazon. And I think there's only those are the only last two artifacts left, right? I'm not necessarily asking any of you to remember. Yeah, there's only 3 artifacts left. So it's just those. We did start a couple of minutes late, so I think it's probably okay if I run a little long today. I'm feeling like it is going to be a couple of minutes behind 10 when I actually get finished. Just a guess. All right, now on to the last 2. I'm at this point where I kind of don't care about the damage from anything at this point. It's very funny. Fuck! This is like the opposite of that dude who was blocking the way in ore processing that I literally just walked past. That guy's guarding that thing like... something, I don't know. Oh, I hear you over there, you. I'm not interested in your bullshit, and I'm going to feed you a missile for no good reason, because I'm feeling a little bit rude today. Probably mostly because I got to re-grapple that thing. Oh. Am I in position here? I think I am-ish. It's just that now I need to get the spike down there, don't I? I forgot that I had to do that. I thought I could get away with not dropping the spike, but I'm wrong. So I just overcomplicated this for myself a little bit. Not hugely, but enough to make me look like a fool. And to be quite frank, I don't need the help. Roundy, how you doing? By the way, I may have missed that for like a minute or so, because I was... I have no idea how much attention I was paying there. How was Mario and Luigi? I saw you open the Mystery Booster pack, and that was basically about when I had to leave after I saw all that stuff. Some interesting stuff in there. Well, I mean, I think Mystery Booster is pretty interesting in general. Just the... better than the Mystery Booster. Well, yeah, I mean... the pulls weren't great, but... Mystery Booster, still pretty interesting. Overall, I'd love to see them do more of it. I also really like a lot of the test cards. Just very interesting to see them dig into some very bizarre design space. There's one test card in particular that I have wanted to get a copy of for a while that I need to actually remember to get, which is the one... I don't know if it's in Mystery Booster 2 as well, but it was in Mystery Booster 1. That is just, you lose the game for 1 black mana at instant speed, 1 with death. I just think that's really funny, and the little doodle on it is pretty good. But even outside of that, just the amount of stuff that they add in there for Chaos Draft and the like is pretty fun. That and Mystery Booster 2 is kind of full of some fun little Easter eggs in there. There is, in among all of the other stuff, and I already mentioned white border cards as a thing, that's sort of a throwback gag, because people, for a very long time, there were a lot of people who were like, oh, I really hate white border cards for constructed purposes. I don't know if that's even a thing that is still a big deal. But yeah, there definitely were some very strong negative feelings about white border cards for a while, which is part of why they stopped printing them a very long time ago, is because obviously that's been a long time thing that people have gotten a little bit unhappy about. Because, you know, Magic players and being way too picky about prints of cards. Name a more, well, I can't even say that that's bad, you know, incorrect or anything, because I am a sort of person who, if I were building a deck and if I had a budget of, yes, I would absolutely probably look for some very specific prints of some cards. But in addition to that, quite a few of the Future Sight border legends that were printed in Mystery Booster used the art that was on the old Vanguard cards that were released in the late 90s. That were big special oversized cards with special rule sets for anybody who doesn't know what those are. But they also had unique art for all the characters, because I think like all of those characters probably had some sort of card, or certainly they appeared on a card otherwise, if not. So instead, these are prints of like the regular versions of these, the regular versions of these cards, like Miri Cat Warrior, with the art for the Miri Vanguard card. Just as an example, I'm like, I don't think they did one for Meraxis. Although I'm sure there's probably somebody who's like, actually it is pronounced Meraxis, and I'll be like, fuck you, it's Meraxis, get out of here. And Krovax might be another one who doesn't have a card. I do not recall. I mean, Krovax has cards, and so does Meraxis, but I don't think they were in Mystery Booster 2. Due to, well, I think Krovax's original card is on the reserved list, would probably be it. Prince of Persia. Oh, that's a good joke. Arabian Nights getting grandfathered into Universes Beyond. I don't think that's actually a real thing. It's just me making a joke. But also, I think the card Meraxis of Keld is possibly on the reserved list as well. It's kind of a shit card, though, so, like, who cares? But I know that both of them had Vanguards. The Sliver Queen had a Vanguard, which was the only one that had, like, extra text in the name other than just the character name, because there was literally just a card in that block called Sliver Queen, which also is on the reserved list. Yay! They should get rid of that, because fuck all the people who are like, my investment. Invest in, I don't know, something else. Invest in something that actually doesn't have value, like whatever people already invest in. These guys aren't going to let me just jump up here. Okay. I got to actually fight the ninjas. Thankfully, they're all mobbing me, so seeing them isn't even an issue. They're just literally right there. but there's also quite a lot of stuff that uses otherwise Magic Online exclusive promo art among those Future Sight cards. Like, Mana Flare, I think, has that, if I recall correctly, and there's a couple others. But yeah, a lot of fun stuff in there for that'll be like of very specific appeal to old heads and or people with a good sense of humor about it. Like the whiteout that is literally just a white square for its art. That's kind of fun. But also, to get back to the thing that you were saying, I absolutely agree with you. Do another set in Arabia. I would be all for that. I mean, they partially did, and it's called Mirage and Visions because those had plot relevance to it. Vaguely, but also the word there is a very big vaguely. I mean, hey, Karavek still exists in the lore. He's not dead for some reason. So, I mean, you've already got the ingredients to do Mirage 2. And hey, they revisited Brothers War, so they can go back to a plot point from 30 years ago again. I mean, really, Karavek is still alive because they needed a character with some old head appeal for Outlaws of Thunder Junction, and they're digging back through Magic's Rogues Gallery. Because otherwise, that's carried by, like, Oko and Rakdos. And I like Oko and Rakdos, at least somewhat. You know, I dislike Rakdos less than some characters. Although he's far and away like the comic relief of the bunch, which is incredible when they have Tiny Bones there. Tiny Bones who, I mean, I appreciate Tiny Bones, but was Tiny Bones even a real character at that point? I mean, Tiny Bones had a card, but realistically, Tiny Bones is more like a gag in of themselves. Anyway, yeah, the space pirates are getting eaten by Metroids, which is always fun. Alright, there's still more Metroids out here, so we gotta keep our Ice Beam on for easy fights. So this part would absolutely suck to traverse without X-ray visor, although technically you can. I just would never want to in a million years. Because now the invisible platforms are moving. Oh, hey. Get out of here, man. Also, I believe that Tinker that you got uses the art from the Vault Exiled version of Tinker. Because they gave it new art for that printing for some reason. You know, a card that you can't play anywhere that they included in a box set for some reason. A box set that you probably paid a significant amount of money for back then, if you were buying it back then, which would... I mean, it's at least got a nice new art for Channel in there too, in that from the vault box. You know, Channel, a card you also can't play anywhere. But at least it looks real nice in your binder. Going like, hi, this person absolutely is going to play this in Vintage. Har, har, har. Ooh, 2 for 1. Nice. It's all right. Maybe they'll think about making another Rabia set at the 40th anniversary when they realize that they've run out of ideas. Oh, wait. Apparently Reality Fracture is looking like it's going to be Planar Chaos 2. So I think they already have run out of ideas. It's like that one Simpsons bit. We've tried nothing and we're all out of ideas. Wait. Now I'm just being mean. Anyway, yeah, this is where we have to be. PMT. We go and we get our last artifact over here. After a nice long trek. And then I get to go internally. All right, which save point is closer? Is it the one a level up from here, or is it the one right before Boss Baby? And I think the answer is the one right before Boss Baby, but I don't know that that makes me very happy, but hey, here we are. That is our last artifact, right? I'm not being stupid here. Okay. Good. We're up to number 12, and yeah, here we are in Metroid zone. Wow, who could imagine you fight Metroids in a Metroid game? Actually, now I'm curious if there's any Metroid games where you don't fight any Metroids at all. Like, I think even in Dread, you fight at least one. But for example, I don't know about Prime 4 either. Although Metroid Prime 4 is also kind of in a position all right, because why would you name it that when Metroid Prime died in the previous game? Or the thing that became that Metroid Prime became, which is Dark Samus. Oh, spoiler alert for anybody who is that concerned about plot spoilers for Metroid. I'm sure that there's quite a few of you who are like, Metroid has a plot. And by you, I mean in the sense of anyone who might watch this video, and not literally the people who are watching the stream right now, because I'm pretty sure most people who are in here know the basic story of the series, but it is also in that sort of area where it's like, I think some people just don't think any games except for like RPGs or visual novels or like adventure games have any real story. You know, the nerd shit where you have like books worth of text or whatever. It'd be fun to see the weirdo who tries to argue that Myst doesn't have a story. Actually, speaking of Myst and story, I am shocked, genuinely shocked, because last year I made a video about Riven, right? And I made a very specific point about the fact that Gen is a colonizer, like a big time, you know, exactly what you would expect out of a villainous colonizer, I suppose. And I'm surprised that I never got any, like, comments from fucking weirdos dropping in who tried to actually at me about it, which, I mean, it's the internet, right? And in particular, I'm on YouTube. That place is borderline a wretched hive of scum and villainy of a right-wing persuasion. So I'm kind of surprised by that. Although just saying that in general, speaking of YouTube and my content that I've made, is that I've gotten a surprising amount of just positive commentary in general from a lot of people on the video that I did recently about that level in Mr. Bones. And a lot of people were like, oh, this is actually quite insightful, which is incredible, because I had this thing in the back of my head where I was like, oh, people are going to be like, this is too obvious, you idiot. What's the point of this? And that sort of thing. But also, no, and also I very rarely get comments on any of my shit to begin with, because, you know, very small audience. Granted, it's also sitting at a viewership that's like twice the amount of subs that I have on YouTube still, which is kind of its own brand of disheartening, but I won't truly complain about it. But it is like, I gotta think it's kind of like being a one-hit wonder, right? And not like a Midnight Oil kind of one-hit wonder or a Marillion kind of one-hit wonder where they're very popular in their home country. I mean, like the kind that literally only has one successful single anywhere in the world. And I mean, sure, it might be across the whole world, but it's the same song and nobody knows, and yet they still have a pretty large discography. I won't say nothing about number of patrons I have because, you know, whatever. That's, money is involved there. That's different. Did I not get him? I don't think I got him. Yeah, I didn't get him. But my aim was bad and I was getting knocked out of place. There we go. We saw his wings flash, so he is Dunzo the Clown. All right, turn around, buddy. I did want to try to soften him the regular way, but forget it. Granted, I'm always kind of torn on the idea of having an audience, because it's like, yeah, I believe in my stuff somewhat, you know, not entirely. I still, you know, there's still some ways in which I don't have any real self-esteem. But also, like, I only want the part of an audience that isn't insane people, I guess, you know, because everybody basically gets the wild, completely out there fan, right? And I failed to secure the kill with 215 missiles. That was kind of sad, but hey, Joe Hendry. I haven't thought about that guy in a while, actually. Is Joe Hendry still like a decently popular wrestler? Also, hi Retro. We're at the like very end of the stream here. Did we miss? I don't think we missed any major items. Well, we missed the ice spreader, but calling that a major item is, well, a technicality more than anything. But let's find out where it was so I can go, wow, good thing I avoided that. Cross cave. Wow, good thing I avoided that. That's slightly out of the way, actually, I think, so. Oh, I see. Impact Raider, I hardly know her. Thank you, Roundy. Now let's see how low it shows my percentage as. 7%. Yeah, okay. 7% my ass. Thank you, game. Thank you for trying to make me look like I'm cool for being able to beat the game with almost nothing. That's actually too few items to be able to beat the game in the first place, I'm pretty sure. But hey, we did it. And the part of the recording that I have here is only a few minutes over 3 hours. Plus, I ranted a little bit or something, or babbled at the beginning before I started the playthrough proper. So, good enough.